Yes, it's the last week. I can finally stop grinding. Subscribe for some tier lists on Metaverse Champions. So yes, it's the top 3 again, and the last one. So our first game is RB Battles, and yes, this game was for the RB Battles event Season 2, and that took place maybe September, October last year if I remember correctly. And the game itself, it has pretty good aesthetics, like we can all agree on that. It has good use of effects, and well, and there's multiple parts to it. The first part, you have to collect 2 coal eggs, which I kind of hate because, well, the game's kind of buggy at the moment. Yes, the code is being rewritten, but it's in an event at the moment, so that doesn't really help it. But anyways, it's not that challenging overall. You have to collect 2 coal eggs, and there's a coal egg on every minigame, so that is good. There's no RNG for that. After you get that, you ride this ship, I guess, and you can have, I think, up to 4 people, I'm not sure, maybe more. The area you get teleported to has some fireballs on the path, and then you just do the puzzles. They're pretty self-explanatory, like they don't have to give an instruction of how to do them. Like you collect the orbs here, and then there's a boss fight at the end that wasn't that hard. Next up, we have the day the noobs took over to. Now this game, although it was kind of long, there's a text box at the bottom of the screen that tells you what your objective is, so you know what to do. But the thing is, if that wasn't there, I would have no idea what to do, but good thing it is there. And anyways, the game had pretty good lore, and of course it had obbies, and of course I'm biased towards obbies. But even though it was kind of long, it was still pretty good, and it's definitely in the top 3. Finally, we have Ratty. This game, I'm not sure if it's a piggy copy or something like that, but that wasn't in the event. Instead, you go to this one train and it teleports you to a different area where you just go through some lasers, I think, and then you end up in the boss fight. And this boss fight was quite interesting. You had to activate these 2 lasers, there was a proximity pump there, and then you had to cut the 2 ropes, which I found pretty easy to do. And our winner for the top game of week 4 is the day the noobs took over to. Now, this game, compared to RB Battles, yes, it clearly seems lower effort, but the reason why I chose this game over RB Battles is because you have to get the coal eggs in RB Battles, and that part was kind of boring, and there were some bugs that hindered me. And in the day the noobs took over too, wow, that's a long title, I feel like the lore is really interesting. It takes place in some 2008 ROBLOX or something like that, and the instructions are very clear, and there are lots of checkpoints, so you don't rage if you fall off or die or something like that. Now we're moving on to the bottom 3 games. First up, we have Power Simulator 2. This game had very long quests. What I mean by that is it took me 50 minutes because you had to do around maybe 6 to 8 quests, I can't even remember. But you need to progress quite a bit in the game. And the progression curve, yeah, the game's quite grindy, and it's like the other superpower games. But this one, for the quests, you had to walk for maybe around 2 to 3 minutes just to get to a certain location. And walking that long is quite a pain, and we know there's another walking simulator. And I played World of Magic, which is another walking simulator. You have to walk like 1,200 meters and you only go 10 a second. This game is kind of like that, except even worse. Next up, we have Teddy. This was one of the first few that I did on Wednesday, and although this game's title sounds like a piggy ripoff, but it's actually a simulator adventure game, if you know what I mean. There's some lore behind it, but the thing is, you have to complete the entire game in order to get the badge, which I feel is just kind of unnecessary. Why would you have to spend 30 minutes just to get a crate that you could have got from another game that takes like 10 minutes? And of course, this game didn't add any new content for the Metaverse Champions event, and it just took too long to grind. Finally, we have Bloxy War. Now, this game doesn't give you any instructions of what to do other than this one GUI that tells you, yeah, you need to get 10 eggs, but you don't know where the eggs spawn, right? Until you actually look at the map. They spawn in specific locations 2 at a time and 2 to 3 times per round. So there's 2 to 3 pairs of 2 eggs. And yeah, this game is quite confusing. Plus, what makes it worse is that you have to compete with other players in order to collect the eggs. Which, if you know me, I don't like competition in an event game. That's kind of dumb. And our winner for the worst game out of week 4, the final week, is Power Simulator 2. I've just felt like this game was confusing because the arrow system would target your main quest instead of your side quest unless you completed the objective for your main quest, which I learned after a bit. So let's say maybe it was pointing towards something that you had to do for your main quest, but you're trying to look for what to do for the AJ one. And like I said, this game took me 50 minutes to do, which means a giant file size for my footage, and I don't like that big of file size. It was like 12 gigabytes I think. And anyways, this game just, you had to walk so much, and for certain things it was just a waiting simulator. Like you had to macro something, maybe you just auto click in order to train certain things, but it was just very time consuming and very repetitive. Now finally, if you made it this far, I will be giving my opinion on which game was the very best out of all 4 weeks and which one was the very worst out of all 4 weeks. Here I have a collection of the top game of all 4 weeks that I did in my other videos. We have Human Simulator, Mega Noob Simulator, Egg Hunt 2021 Enchanted Eggos, and The Day the Noobs Took Over 2. And finally, our winner is Egg Hunt 2021 Enchanted Eggos. Just by the look at this game, you can definitely tell that the developers spent quite a bit of time and effort trying to make this game look as much as the Egg Hunt 2018 as possible. If I played this game more, I'm sure it would be very good, and the event surely didn't let me down. It was very, very well made, and I enjoyed it. Now, what about the very worst game out of all 4 weeks? In this list, we have Pinewood Computer Core, Mech Warzone, This Game is Pain, and Power Simulator 2. Our winner for the very worst game of all 4 weeks in the metaverse is Pinewood Computer Core. This game was very, very early on in the first week, and my expectations were quite high during that time. But even without those biases, I think we can all agree that this game was quite painful. It was pay to win because you could spend Robux on a gun in order to kill people, and the existing players on that game didn't really want people to activate the meltdown in order to get the badge, which kind of made it like a fight. If you have competition anywhere in an event game, it's not gonna end up well. I had no idea what to do within like the first hour of me playing it, and then the last 30 minutes, at least some people were actually helpful and allowed us to get this badge. Most servers are probably not like that. You probably have to server hop until one server has actually cooperative people who want to get the badge. And then of course maybe one person with a gun joins and then they screw it all over, they activate the coolants which somehow decrease the temperature all the way down to 3000 degrees, which I don't understand. And I just feel like this game definitely deserves to be the very worst game out of all 4 weeks.